Hey, Moni, a long time no see. So good.
Yeah, just like yesterday, the day before yesterday.
Oh yeah, it feels like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is It's Mental Podcast, and today we have a special episode. I know I say it's special, but this time it's really special because I have Richard Schäfer on the show. He also have a podcast about mental health, which is in German. So I'm thinking, how about let's do a collaboration? So the first part of this episode will be on my podcast, and the second half will be on his podcast. So check out both if you are interested.
Danke fürs Teilen. It is on Spotify.
It's English. My audience don't speak German.
Who knows? You might have German fans too, no?
Yeah.
I mean, you're performing in Berlin. You're.
Yeah, sure. But English is the language. So this is an English podcast. We speak English, Fictish.
Yeah, make sure to come to my podcast later. Danke fürs Teilen. Yeah.
So the reason Richard has a German language podcast is because he is German.
Oh, Dankeschön.
Yeah. So, Richard, why you started a mental health related podcast?
Good question. I always wanted to do a podcast, I guess. I mean, the pandemic hit, right? And we all wanted to have some projects to do. And I don't know, I always loved podcasts. And then a friend of mine from the stand-up scene in Germany, her name is Christina, she's like, yeah, let's just do a podcast together. And because we used to talk about addiction just after the shows, you know. Back in the day, I used to like to watch a porn movie or two an hour, right? So
Every day?
Yeah.
That's normal, right?
Yeah. It was kind of normal. It was borderline. So we talked about that, and because she's also like had struggled with substance abuse, so we just thought, hey, let's just talk more openly about that. And then we just started meeting once a week, yeah. And now it's on break because, several reasons. Until today, yeah, it's true, right? Yeah.
So we push each other further to motivate each other.
Yeah, but the main reason was basically because we are interested in this topic, and we kind of, we are learning the whole time new stuff. So we thought, why not just share this and maybe be part of a community where everybody talks more openly about those things. We can learn from one another. That was like the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you realize you have some mental health issues? Like, was it a recurring thing, or is something you just discovered lately?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's like a mix, and I just found out maybe. I always thought I'm a little weird, but I think that's normal. I had a breakup in 2018, so like 3 years ago, and that really like shook me up. There was kind of, some breakups are easy and some are more like traumatizing, right? And for me, that was traumatizing because I was living in like a different world. I was so sure of myself that this is a relationship I have and this is like how this is going. And actually the reality was much different, that I was not treating that person nicely. And there was no like abuse, but it was just such a different thing from what she told me, what was going on and what I was thinking. And yeah, I was really troubled after this breakup to, I think in German psychology, they call it Anpassungsstörung, which means just it's tough for you to get adjusted to this new situation. You have a problem adjusting to this new situation, being not in a relationship now anymore. Yeah. And that was just a time for like 2 weeks. I was like, I couldn't sleep, and I was just, so many things were like, oh wow, I felt like this, but it's not like that. And then I just started asking questions. So that was 2018. And then slowly I started reading like mental health stuff or like psychology things, because I was just interested in that, and I wanted to learn more about like my psychology, because I didn't know what was going on. And that's how I got into it a little bit. And then I faced some of the demons I suppressed. Like, for example, my dad is an alcoholic, right? And I always had a very codependent relationship with him. And then just in this year, I discovered that also. It was kind of a I was so down, and I wanted some help and affection from him, and he couldn't give it to me because he's having his own demons. And then I realized, oh wow, like I'm actually very angry at him also. And then I tried to go into that more, like why am I angry about him? Like what do I want from him? And then yeah, I found out that I was very codependent also for because I helped him a lot, like he has a company and stuff like that, and I used to every weekend go to Dresden to help him. And then I thought, no, I want some time for myself. I'm gonna leave this away also, let him do his thing. And then I realized when I was really like alone and I couldn't have this codependent thing with my dad, then I realized, oh wow, I have so many things I was looking away from. And then slowly started to get more interested in this topic and read about it, and that's how I found actually out that there is a thing like that, or that there's actually something that might be with me too. Because in our family we never talked about it, right? And you don't know what you can't see, right? So I never saw that as a possibility.
Where are your parents coming from?
Dresden. They're both like from the countryside, from Eastern Germany.
So they're both German?
Yeah.
From East Germany?
Yeah.
Do you feel like how do you describe the German mentality or East German mentality on mental health topic, like back when you were young or right now?
Yeah, non-existent. They never talked about it. You have to understand it also that the parent generation of our parents, of my parents, they just survived the Second World War, right? They had they were traumatized for sure, and they had so many different worries just to have enough food on the table, right? There were times with us not enough food, right? And there was just not enough capacity, I think, to think about self-help or depression, stuff like that. There's like this thing that if you're sad as a man, you're weak, right? And that comes from, I think it is a normal, or it has its, how do you say that? Daseinsberechtigung. It has its place in the culture because it comes from somewhere. There was this generation where you needed to just get up and try to rebuild your house, or I don't know, my grandma, she just lost some people in Dresden that when it was bombed down, she woke up this one morning and the whole city was burning, and there's such different priorities that those people have. And then in the end, later also, I grew up in the 90s talking to my grandma. Later, I wanted to like work and travel in Australia, and she didn't understand. She was like, why would you ever want to leave? Like, just be happy that there's food here is perfect. We have it perfect here, right? Even just with the village life, with never getting out of the village, they were like...
Never?
No, they did vacation within Germany, and she's strong Christian. She even went to Jerusalem. But her thinking was, it's perfect here. There's no need to live anywhere else, right? That was just her bubble that she was in, or just her mindset. And that also didn't allow for any depression, I feel like, yeah.
Then how about your parents?
They just, my mom did some therapy when she broke up with my dad. That was like 2013 or so. But yeah, my dad still until this day, he's like, no, don't go to a psychologist. They're just gonna tell you stories. They wanna manipulate you. They are brainwashing you. And he's still, there's no reason to be sad. My dad also grew up in like an orphanage house, so I don't know what was going on there, because there can be abuse too. That's a horrible thing to grow up without parents. Yeah.
Yeah, like I am doing a book club. You should join next time.
Yeah, please.
It's a book about depression written by Zhang called Lost Connections.
Mm-hmm.
They describe lots of related studies about mental health. They found out childhood trauma has a severe impact on one person's mental health. Those people who experience one type of childhood trauma, their chance of commit suicide is like 7 times than those people who haven't have any type of childhood trauma. And among those, just on top of my hand, I remember a person they have like 6 type of childhood trauma, then their chance of committing suicide is like 31 times higher than people who don't have those. And among all those childhood trauma, reasons, for example, poverty, for example, discrimination, or unloving family. Among all those, haplessness is the number one. Number two, driven, and the number one is parental emotional abuse. Yeah, the worst case is that you have parents, but they abuse you, and right after that is that if you don't have anyone to rely on, it's very understandable, right? If your parents abuse you, then how can you ever trust anyone in the world? And besides that, if you are a child so small and there's no one you can rely on, then you grow up in constant stress, because that's how we work. Human beings are meant to be in groups. And if we are in the African Sahara, savanna, savanna, and we suddenly become alone, then we should feel scared and feel stressed, because otherwise we'll be eaten by other animals. So our human beings, we are built in this way that we, especially when we are young, if we are not being taken care or surrounded or supported by other human beings, we feel lost and feel stressed. And this chronic stress and the feeling that no one can help you, it can fuck up people's lives.
What's this hormone called that we get from touching each other? What's that?
I forgot. Dopamine?
No, not dopamine.
Serotonin?
No. Oxytocin.
Okay.
That's the name of it. So that's like when a mother touches the child, it's like soothing. Like this oxytocin is just, it brings your stress levels down. It brings your cortisol down and all that stuff. So even like for the mother, that's why a mother is stressed when she doesn't have the child in her arms, right? She wants to have this touching, and then they both calm down, kind of.
Do your parents touch you, soothing you?
I don't remember a lot of it. I remember now, unconsciously, when I'm around people, I always want to hug them. But in my family, I don't really remember it.
Do they ever show affection by being close to each other?
Yeah. Oh, by being close to them?
Physically, showing affection?
To me or to themselves?
To anyone. Is a habit in the family?
It's tough to remember. I feel like on family meetings, there was always a hug and a kiss on the cheek. But there was never hugging around watching TV together.
It's hard to remember, then it didn't
it's probably
happen.
Not, yeah. Probably, yeah.
I didn't realize this, but I only start to have this realization after I start to be with my current boyfriend, because the partner I had before, he was also from a fuck-up family. And just by dating my current boyfriend, I realized, normal family, or maybe let's say a loving, healthy family, they touch each other and they show affection, and it's so different. My mother never hugged me, never touched me, and so I think as a child, without all this cuddlement and everything, it's not normal. I think it fucks up a child also.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like if you raise a dog and you never give them belly rubs, how can you expect they grow up to be a easygoing, loving, a friendly dog?
Yeah, and I mean the brain is plastic, right? It's adapting on how we react. And there's this other guy, Dr. Gabor Mate. He's from Hungary. A great book also. In the realm of hungry ghosts, is about addiction, right? And
I heard the reference from the book I'm reading, Chasing the Scream, by Johann Hari. It's also a book about addiction. Dr. Gabor was mentioned there.
Yeah, and he says also that, as a kid, if you don't get petted, if you don't have those oxytocin that calms you down, your stress levels are higher, your brain adapts to that, and then for your whole life, your stress levels might be higher than a normal person. It's a problem with addiction that, say, this higher stress level person and the normal person, they both drink alcohol, for example, for one evening. They both feel drunk and nice. And the next day, the normal person just says, all right, it felt nice to drink alcohol, it's fine. But this person that's under constant stress says, all right, I was a little bit drunk, but it's also the first time where I felt normal, right? Because my stress levels were down, kind of, I didn't think too much. So that's why the higher stress level person is much more inclined to use drugs and alcohol more often, because it just makes them feel normal for the first time.
The book I'm reading, like Chasing the Scream, it's very relevant to what you talk. Actually, he has a better way to describe addiction. He says, addiction is not a disease. Addiction is a solution to solve the pain in life. Like there are people, they use drugs, but they have a loving life. They use drugs to feel happier.
Recreational.
To enhance their experience. But there are also people, like their life is falling apart, everything is fucked. And for them, drug is something for them to escape the constant pain they are in. And the problem is not the drug itself. The problem is the shit life they are having. So by taking away their drugs is not the most constructive way to help them. And they talk about experiment. Actually, it's not an experiment, like a change they did in Portugal. So Portugal once have the worst heroin epidemic in the whole Europe, and then one day they decide they don't want it anymore, because almost every family have a heroin addict, and their life all falling apart, and the police just jail those people without helping them. So what they did is that they legalized all drug use in Portugal, and they give you prescription on heroin. So what happened is that they will find the heroin addict, and they will hook them up with some other type of drug which can soothing their chemical addiction. So your body will feel, oh, you are fulfilled by heroin. But
methadone, probably.
Yeah, methadone. Yeah, they will give them like a methadone. And most 90% of people, I think, I don't remember the exact number. So a large, the vast majority of them, they feel okay just on methadone. Then for those who cannot feel okay on methadone, they will continue prescribe them heroin. But actually the most dangerous part about heroin is not heroin itself. It's the street heroin, which have lots of shit in it. They fuck up your body, and they realize if you use pure heroin, actually this person like don't get fucked up. They still can go to work. They still can have a normal life. So what they did is like they prescribe those drug addicts those drugs, but on the other hand, they help them socially, like over time, like they give them free counseling, help people to get back on their food, and also they have like a tax. How to say? They have a tax incentive, help people to find jobs. So if employer hire a person who graduated from the drug program, they will have the
have
employer
tax breaks,
don't need to pay tax for 6 months, and for majority of time after 6 months, the employer found that there's no need to fire this person because it works.
Sweet.
And even for those heroin users, they just go to the city center, go to get an injection in the morning and go to get an injection in the evening. They can have a normal life. And what they realize is that over time, most of people, stop to use heroin voluntarily. Like you can get free heroin, unlimited, as much as you want. But most of them, they will stop after 3 years. What they have a matter.
If they survive the 3 years.
But the 3 years, if they like with the pure heroin, with the pure heroin, after 3 years, you don't have fuck up teeth, you don't have fuck up veins, because it's the shit they put in heroin to make you this way. But if they just use like a pure heroin, you won't die. Die from it. And also after this 3 months. 3 year period, like during the time you are rebuilding your like connection to the society, you get job, you get housing. Also, they provide like a subsidized housing to addicts. They give them a roof over their head. They give them job and help them to go through support groups, counseling, and find them. Help them slowly to have a normal, loving, supported life. And they have a metaphor. They said it's like we have a cup of water, and this is your hope and your motivation and willpower in life. But when your life is totally fucked up, there's nothing in this cup, and you feel miserable, then you need the drugs to help you to escape the pain. But slowly they fill the cup for you by all the security and stability, and they destigmatize all those subculture around drugs, and they remove this subculture, and then after 3 years you realize you are just one part of the society, and you live normal, you have normal relationships, then you have a full cup even without the drug. Then slowly most people just decide to not use it anymore. So it's like another metaphor I really like is that if a house is on fire, is smoky, you call the
fire brigade,
firefighters. You see the smoke is the symptom.
What was it? Was it like an Asian dragon coming into the house?
No, the fire inside of the house is the real reason. It would be so wrong to say, oh, we want to get rid of the smoke. Like we use some fan to get to fan away all the smoke. It will just make the fire.
You are ignoring the source of the problem. You're just fighting the symptoms and not why the fire's there in the first place.
Yes, so I really think this book is so mind-blowing. I'm not an addict in any sense. I have a difficult relationship with food, but I don't have any like relationship with any drugs. Like I smoke weed. I really like psychedelics, but I never feel that I'm addicted to it. Many times it happened, I just suddenly don't want to take them for half a year or so. And I do believe that it brings me more benefits than harm. I don't like alcohol. I don't drink alcohol at all. I don't smoke tobacco at all, or consume nicotine, or caffeine. Drugs are like addiction is not my problem, but I really can see why it's problematic to how do you say, monsterize this drug instead of helping people with all their issue behind them. And myself, what I can relate to is that I had a period of time in my life I was kind of addicted to sex. And now thinking back, I realized I was the reason I thought I was addicted to sex. Now I realized I was just extremely lonely. Like I am in a country so far away from my home, and I had a chronic
homesickness.
Not home, like I was poor, and my family was very difficult, and to study in Europe it costs a lot for us. So I was constantly worrying about money. On top of that, it's not an English-speaking country. I don't speak the language. And with all those money issue and the cultural difference, I was in a very bad situation that I also hated my study. I didn't know then. I thought, oh, maybe it's just I'm not smart enough. And now I just realized, because I don't like what I was studying, I don't have passion in it, and I don't know it's not normal, because everyone else I know they also behave the same. Then now I realize it's just I studied business. I realized lots of lost souls, they don't know what they want in life. They just study business. So that's why we didn't like what we studied, because most people who study business don't like it. And I was it's very common that I would not have anyone to talk to for days. I was so deeply isolated. Of course, it was easy for me to get addicted on things, because there's nothing else in life is happening, like sex.
And it feels good. You get human interaction.
And then now I think I probably just need some human to touch me. And
or some good friendships.
And now I can think, the reason why I was so addicted to sex at that point is really just because I was lonely.
And how did you get your sex? What was the move? Tinder, or what was your?
Let's not talk about this.
We should. I think your fans want to know about
I
this.
think I'm more open about it now, but you should know that as a Chinese or female, it's so discriminated, in our culture to slut shaming girls. Girls are not supposed to have sex before marriage, although days are changing, but a
slowly.
Good girl would never talk about their they can accept you are not a virgin before sex if you are highly educated, you get married late, but even we all know probably you are not a virgin. You are not supposed to talk about your sex behavior.
Right.
So
where do you think that comes from?
Thousands of years of suppression. A woman are treated as an object. And the woman should be innocent, should not know anything about sex, and they should not have lust.
Is that Confucianism? What is it? Confucius?
Confucius.
Yeah. Is he the guy who started that too? Because he was I
don't think it's him. I think it's some. I don't know exactly. I think the way to. Of course, in farming society, women are always suppressed, because men are more powerful, physically.
Workforce,
they work in the field, but I think, of course, because we are a farming society, so there always was this kind of suppression, but it was really got intensified. I think some guy after him during Zhou dynasty, I forgot the exact dynasty, but there was a time then there was a movement. The guys start to play using women as an object. For example, they start to tie the woman's feet to make it totally distort, and the women are basically all handicapped, and their feet would be this kind of shape, and the men would have this fetish and describe and play with each other, and have women as their collection to see who have the smallest feet woman, and by doing so it's totally remove the human part of woman, and also it's declare that you are my woman, and because you have this small feet, because I can afford a woman to have such small feet, means that I'm rich enough, I can afford for you not to go to the field to work. Because with a feet like this, you cannot do any physical work. But also because of that, a woman never have any ability to live on their own, so they are so even more dependent on men, and then there's this peer pressure because all good family they will tie their girls' feet because only with a small feet you can marry them into a good family.
Oh, was this kind of a sign of
yeah, status. Yeah. So it's very very sad, and also with you also see it from the West. Like if you see women 100 years ago, it's also very similar. It progress through the economics. Once like this country is more wealthy, has more like intelligent driven roles, then the difference between man and woman will slowly move.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird because China was very early with intellectual like work, right? And studying. Like China was a very highly evolved civilization already, right? Like 1,000 years ago.
What I mean is like a tech job.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Because now it doesn't matter if you're physically strong in our society. Now you just have. Yeah, that's the cool thing about nowadays. I mean, every generation gets better than the one before, right? We usually learn more things. But yeah, that's the cool thing about this technical revolution, I feel like, or the digital one, that it's just makes everybody more equal now, right? You can work from wherever you want if you have internet. The gender doesn't matter that much anymore. I mean, there's still probably like discrimination, but it's much better than in the industry we had before.
Now it's more like unconscious bias. In the past, it's like obvious bias. So I want to ask, like, your family, you feel there's not much mindset or awareness about mental health. Do you think it's your family specifically, or it's the society you are in?
Yeah, I think it's a society. I think it's just also like a generational thing because of the war, and those people like our parents, they grew up after the war, so there was just a different mindset. I heard it from people from Australia that it's also like a father trait, I guess, to not be that emotionally available as the mother. Maybe that's also a thing. That's just different in how boys were raised compared to girls. Yeah, but I really see it especially in guys, and it's.
Do you think it's a East Germany thing or West? Do you feel like your peers grew up in West Germany and with West German parents? Do you think there's a difference there?
No, I mean, they grew up definitely different because it was a different, like they started capitalism right after the Second World War, right? So it's I think the education was a bit broader. But I don't know. I wouldn't say, like, I don't have many friends from Western Germany. The ones I have, I mean, some of them are really like from a loving family, and others are just, they had a fucked up childhood as well. So I wouldn't say there's a big difference between East and West, but I don't know. I would rather say it's just a generational thing about that there's just no awareness. There was this one cool thing Sam Harris said one day. I don't know if you know him. He's and he said that he regards psychology nowadays, or like mental health, as compares it to physical health, that, like 100 years ago, it was not cool to be physically fit, right? Like you would work, but nobody went to the gym or something, only people who worked in a circus. But nowadays it's mainstream that everybody goes to the gym usually because we know it's good to have a fit body. And he says, same thing with mental health, just a little bit later. Like 30 years ago, our parents' generation, it was really weird to go to the psychologist or talk about mental health. And now it's slowly becoming into the mainstream. And probably in 5 or 10 years, everybody will go to a psychologist, or just will be like a much more like mainstream topic. Yeah.
So I live in Berlin, Germany, which is a German city, but I feel the expats live very segregated with the Germans. Like we see you guys on the street, but it's very rare. Like we have very close like German friends. So I don't know. I don't have a very clear picture about how Germans behave regarding this topic. Right now, do you think for example, your podcast, like, do you feel there's a large audience base there, and how other German-speaking people react to topics like this nowadays?
Like for my podcast, there might be a potential audience, but there's nobody's listening to that. So it's
Yes, yes.
but my sisters are listening, so that's nice. But yeah, I feel that it's in the zeitgeist, because usually most of the people I talk to, that's something we connect on. We talk about feelings, we talk about like mental issues, or it's just in the zeitgeist now. It's a cool thing to talk about.
What does zeitgeist mean?
Zeitgeist mean like general topics that everybody speaks about. So it's from the German word Zeit, which means time, and Geist, the spirit of our times. That's the thing, like spirit of our times.
Cool. Learn German every day.
Yeah. Americans use it too, I think, the word. So yeah, I feel like it's becoming more and more cool to talk about it. Mainstream. You see it in magazines, like now there's also like Psychologie heute, or like this little mental health magazines, because it just became a cool topic. There's more awareness now than ever. Also maybe through the internet, and through just that people are not struggling that much. Like that's also something we have to consider. We are so wealthy nowadays. We have so little worries actually that those things can come up. Like see the generations before, they had so much work and so much on their plate. There was no time to get depressed, right? It's like, hey, you better work because you need some money on the table for you and the family in the evening. And that's why I'm also thinking sometimes, am I really depressed, or am I just not working enough? Which is also a kind of how we were trained, probably, like the meritocracy, this like kind of work merit-based evaluation of yourself. If you work a lot, you're good. If you're lazy, you're bad, you know. So sometimes I don't know what do you think about this distinguishing? Am I really depressed, or am I just lazy, and that gets me depressed? Do you have a thought about that?
All the time. All the time. Like, it's constantly a battle. I actually, yesterday I had a very thorough think on this. So if you are listening to my podcast, by now probably you already know I had new depression episode since last year November. It was a burnout from work, and since then, right now it's already like 6 months. I'm not working, and
I mean, you're working, right? I see you around, but it's not in the
since I left the work environment, I've been doing lots of things. But my main project right now is to learn German. So I really want to achieve C1 relatively soon, so I can start to do comedy in German.
Yeah, that would be so nice.
And yesterday I had a very deep reflection on the past few months. I realized every day, every week, I constantly feel I'm a loser on some level. Like I constantly feel that I'm not doing enough. Like I'm stressed. I'm not meeting my goal because I have quite high goals on learning German and everything. And yesterday I sit down. I was like, why you feel so stressed about German? Then I realized it's because I start to associate my own value with the output of German, because I think no matter how, if I'm not working in a office in another job, I still feel I don't want. Somehow I feel if I can really learn German and make lots of progress, then people will not look down on me that much. So they say, oh, you took 1 year off, but you reached C1. Wow, well done. So people will not think I'm lazy. And then I realized, actually, it's not about other people not thinking about me about lazy. It's like I'm projecting my own judgment on others, and make myself believe if I don't achieve this goal, and I take time away from work, people will think I'm lazy. But it's actually I'm thinking I'm myself being lazy.
Yeah.
And I yesterday I was writing. I asked myself like, Moni, like you are 6 months of work, but see what you achieved. Like I realized I started a book slam, a book club. I every 2 weeks I talk with like a group of like 6 people, lead them to discuss this mental health related book, and I over time we open up, we all share our own trauma, and we have meaningful intellectual discussion. And I started a story slam. I help lots of people overcome their trauma, and I had comedians coming to me saying that I kind of push them, encourage them to start to facing their trauma and deal with them, and they made big breakthrough. And besides that, I'm doing a podcast. I knew nothing about audio recording, video recording, or podcast, anything about that. And now I have a running podcast. And on top of that, I self-studied German, and I passed B1.
Nice.
And on top of all that, I have a very traumatic childhood. I have a very love and hate relationship with my mom. I made a big breakthrough, and
got a lot done. Yeah, for sure.
And all these things, despite all these things have happened, I keep thinking I'm lazy. And yesterday I wrote down all the things. I told myself, I was like, how can you always be so mean to yourself? Like, how can you always think yourself lazy? Like, you are not lazy. Yes, I am not having a 40 hours per week job, but I made impact. I learned. I am dealing with my mental health, and I'm getting better day by day. And I'm not running away from my problem. I'm facing it and trying, experimenting, and try to get better. And along the journey, I brought positive impact and
into the community,
energy to others. So this is a constant battle, and it happens again and again. I think the good part is the sad part is that although I learned so many tools and I learned that this is not right, I still automatically will blame myself a lot. But the good part, the hope is that now I have the capacity to stop and reflect and to reasoning myself and to rationalize myself, to tell myself it's okay. I'm kind of being able to balance myself.
Sure.
But in the past, before I start to learn all the tools, I would look in the mirror and say the most horrible thing to myself, and I didn't know it's not kind.
Yeah, there's this there's this girl. She's a psychologist in Germany, and she wrote this book about the shadow child and the sun child. You know, the shadow child is all your negative childhood experiences. They form a part of you. It's like the little Moni inside you, like the shadow Moni who gets all from negative experiences, draws negative self-conclusions, right? It tells yourself, hey, I'm not worthy, I'm not welcome, I'm dumb, or whatever, like your parents used to tell you directly or indirectly what you thought they would tell you. And this is she says in this book, we live constantly our whole lives with a shadow child and the sun child. The sun child is happy, positive, curious, whatever, all of your good sides, but the negative sides, they are there. And like you said, I think it's really good that we acknowledge now this is going to be there forever probably, but we have to work with that, right? It's not controlling us, it's just a part of us that we learn over time how to deal with that. Like your thing is you talk about it, right? You write it down. That's always a good thing to have a dialogue with yourself and write that stuff down. That helps me a lot too. But yeah, that's, I think the biggest step is just realizing that this thing is even there, right? Yeah. So Yeah, that's a cool thing. So that's the exercise you do, right? Do you have other like exercises for mental hygiene?
I do lots of things now. I have a morning routine. I realize as long as I get this routine done, my day wouldn't be too bad. I wake up, I take a shower to reset myself. It sounds stupid, but sometimes I would not shower for a week. You just don't have this mental capacity, and I find it's easier to push like to shower in the morning because it's just become automatic. The first thing in the morning.
A habit.
If I'm like, oh, I will do it later, then you need willpower to persuade yourself to say, oh, this is the right moment to do it. But if you just do it the first thing in the morning, it's easy because you don't need to think about it. You can check the episode above. It's an episode with Francesca, who is a brilliant Berlin-based comedian. He's really into this kind of like habit forming, like a to-do list and the small habits. He says like willpower is very precious, and it get empty very fast. So you should build your day around like habits and routine to use willpower as little as possible, and also to rely on routine in the morning is really beneficial because first it doesn't use your willpower, but it puts you into a autopilot active mode. And the more active you are, the more willpower you will have. Like it just by default you are moving, and that creates lots of self-confidence also. So you are in a virtuous circle. So now in the morning I wake up, I shower, then I meditate for 10 minutes, and then I write morning pages. For those who's not, do you know this concept?
Yeah. Morning pages, you write down your thoughts and then some things that you're very thankful about, friends or family or...
I think that's not the core of it. So this is a book coming from it's a concept coming from a book called The Artist's Way. I will write it in the description. So this tool is very similar to journaling. But the difference is that there's almost no rule. The only rule you have is that every day write 3 pages of content. And
A4 pages?
I use A6 or A5.
Yeah, you're cheating a bit, right? You take the smaller pages.
Not A5. Or A4 is too big. So like you write 3 pages of content. The rule is interesting in the way that they say they don't ask you for any specific thing you need to write down. The only requirement is that it has to be 3 pages, and it has to be like free stream of consciousness writing. So whatever comes into your mind, like just write it. You don't look back. You can look back after a while, but normally you don't look back. You don't read your pages. You just write. It's a way for you to really sense what's going on in your mind, how you feel, to have a space and time to assess your emotions. And you don't worry about, if your spelling is right, or if your handwriting is good, or if the text you're writing makes sense. It's not about the outcome of the 3 pages. It's about the process. You are dumping all those thoughts in your mind, so you can start your day free.
I like that. Because if it doesn't get out, it's going to stay in your head, right? And that's just going to wear you down because it's extra thoughts that might take away from your willpower.
Yeah, and also it's like, for example, if you have a negative thought, it can act like a grain, and you attach so many negative thoughts around it, and it grow bigger and bigger. But when you write the negative thoughts down, for example, you say, I think I'm a piece of shit. You can write this down, but in order to write 3 pages, you cannot write down like I'm a piece of shit for for 3 pages, you need to write down why I'm a piece of shit, and while you elaborate on it, you realize lots of your reasoning doesn't make any fucking sense, and then you will realize, oh, this source probably it doesn't make sense. I shouldn't think in this way. But if you don't write it down, it can just act like a how do you say, mantra. Keep in your mind, repeat and repeat and repeat. And after you repeat for days, then you just believe in it.
Interesting. And what's your definition of depression?
I think depression is a collection of symptoms, which including a lack of motivation, lack the ability to feel joy, and slowly losing contact with people around them, and also lack of concentration, and thinking more passive thinking. Okay. Yeah, and this is just a collection of symptoms. I don't believe depression is a disease. I think depression, we can treat the symptoms. Also, we should treat them because, for example, if we don't, for example, the same. I have a analogy I always like to use. I think depression is like a car have some engine problem and it cannot start on its own.
So it's not a German car.
Yeah, it's not a German car. So so it cannot move anymore, and sometimes you need a few people to push it. And then once it moves, then it can keep moving. Then
the motor starts.
Yeah,
and
then
starts.
you move this this car for a short while, but you need to make a termin at a auto house to fix it. So I think treating the symptoms as if you have people to push the car a little bit. It's important to treat the symptoms, because without those people to push this car, you will not be able to move it, drive it to an auto house. But only pushing the car is not enough, because the motor is still fucked up. You need to fix the car itself, and having people to push it around is not a permanent solution.
So in order to treat depression, you would say, get a positive surrounding, get people that understand you, that want to do good for you, hang out with those people, and use them also a little bit as fuel to help yourself better, right?
That's not what I mean, although I think what you said is very correct also. What I meant is, I think depression is not the motto. The motto is not depression. The depression is the symptom that, shit, this car is not moving. Depression is the fact that the car is not moving. And I think treating depression is important, that you have those people to push the car around. But in order to really fix depression, you need to fix the deeper issue. Like, for example, the symptom is like, oh, I cannot sleep. Oh, the symptom is that I'm very mean or angry to people around me. That's the symptom. I need to treat this. I need to say, okay, I need to learn how to communicate with people in a more friendly way, more constructive way. But that's only the symptom. Why I am always so angry about people is something deeper in me. How eventually I need to make peace in me to see what's my demon to make me always behave or react in this way, and that's the core issue of depression, and that's the real thing needs to be treated
inside.
But
and the car is not moving because maybe there's an Asian driver and he doesn't know how to turn it on. No.
Oh, could be like. Yeah.
Sorry, I tried to make it.
I cannot
work.
drive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you can.
No, I don't have a license.
All right. Yeah, in Berlin you don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was a bad joke.
So I think because I like the definition of his collection of symptoms because, for example, I know people, they believe depression is it's about you, like you fuck up, it's you, like a diabetes or something. So they are so scared of this label, and it's very counterproductive because on one hand, I see you have all the symptoms. Then on the other hand, you say, you are depressed. I am not. They say, I am depressed. They are not because they are different than me. I was like, yeah, you are different because we are different people.
Yeah.
And the core issue is always different. But for fuck's sake, you demonstrate all the symptoms of depression. And why you can just not admit it and use all the tools already exist to fix your problem.
Because it's very scary, right? It's very scary to look inside and see, oi, I might need some help. I might have to fight my own demons. I might not be as happy as I could be. Like, that's the scariest thing ever, right?
I think that's one hand, but in the case, in the people I know, it's more about they think because you and I are different, so I think the reason to make you so unhappy, make me so unhappy, is different than yours. So you refuse to say, oh, because Moni is depressed, but the reason I'm unhappy is different. So the fact that she is depressed and I'm different than she is, so means I'm not depressed.
Yeah.
And that's just for me. I know it's some mental block there, but it's very frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, because you want to help those people, which is also a wrong thing, right? That we want to help people that they have to yeah, it's weird. I guess everybody has to find it out. It's one of those things, right? You have to really find it out for yourself and you have to want it. Otherwise, that's this also with when people treat addiction, that's what those addiction psychologists say. If the other person doesn't want to get sober, you can put them into programs, they will relapse. You really have to want it. You really have to, and in order to want it, you have to realize, hey, there is something I have to work on, kind of.
Yeah, I think that's so right. Since a while ago, I started to become spiritual. I started to get into the Buddhism literature. I start to think lots of things we Chinese people say about Buddhism. One sentence is the rough translation. It means a Buddha can only enlighten another person who is meant to be, who is open for it. If I'm a Buddha, I can only enlighten you if you are in the right place and the right mindset. If you are blocked on your own, no matter, even if I'm Buddha, I cannot help you. And I think with depression, many of us have this issue of very hard to say no to. You always want to help others, and then you get dragged down by others, and sometimes it's very frustrating. And with this depression relapse, I learned that you can only help some people who truly want to be helped, who really wants it, not just say it. Because I think along our journey, I guess you already know the difference. You can tell. There's people, they say they want to help, they want help, but they just say that to keep dragging you down, to drag you into their pile of shit and make your life miserable without ever make real commitment to help themselves. But there's people, they just need a tiny bit of help, a little bit of information. They will do whatever to climb out of that shitty situation.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had it like that. People told me straight away, hey, I need help, because I think that's not in our culture really. but you feel like when you do good things for your friends, that will, you feel it for yourself. When a friend does a good thing to you, you're like, wow, that gives me energy. And then doing a good thing for somebody else or helping out, like, yeah, that feels good. Like, that's our brain. They give us these signals, right? Kind of also what is good. Because I feel like really, like what you say, we can't really help other people. We can just, everybody give a little bit of positivity around, you know, and give some good vibes. And that might help them reassure, hey, I'm not such a bad person. Like, I have friends, they care for me, whatever. Like,
Yeah, I think there's also like boundary here. I'm still learning a boundary that where is the line between like, oh, I'm just doing good stuff, or oh, I'm doing too much, I'm hurting myself. Because not like, there are people, if you do something positive, they will do something positive back. But there's some people like they are not bad people, but they are just so into their own issues. You, as Tyrone said, you can check this episode with Tyrone. He talked about like don't be away, stay away from energy suckers. Like there are people like they need help, but they don't really want to help themselves. They just keep sucking your energy, and their life is always in a mess. And no matter what you do, it's just instead of pulling them out, it's keep just dragging down you back.
yeah.
And I think we need to find a boundary to see where is the line that I will just do nice stuff, but I will put my well-being at the first place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one of the toughest things, right? To learn that, get away from this codependency, and just, because in the end, when you look at it logically, the best version of yourself will be the best thing for your community, whatever the community is, our comedy friends or your family or boyfriend. Like, so once another person drags you down, like, nobody's helped. You're both lost, kind of, right? You're both losing something. And the best thing is then to stay away, because then you keep your positive energy, and maybe that other person sees, oh, wait, this person stays away from me. Maybe I have to change something, right? So that's actually the better thing. But it's also, boundary setting. How do you learn that? It's probably by just negotiating with yourself and being observant, right?
I think by trial and error and lots of failure and getting hurt and slowly like realize what you shouldn't do.
And listening to your feelings, like, that's the thing, I guess. I think especially like depressed people, or like people that have these mental health issues, like me as well. That's just something I'm realizing now, listening to myself. Like, there was never on the table to see, hey, how do I actually feel about this and that? Like, do I feel good? Do I feel bad? I was always like, hey, I should feel good about no matter what happens. So now having this tool to listen to ourselves by journaling, by seeing, hey, what thoughts are coming up when I do this writing or whatever. I mean, that's also the cool thing about comedy, kind of, right? That you have to be honest and you should explore like yourself. So that's a cool thing. But
I want to ask a little bit about you said your family is have the background of alcoholism. How it feels like growing up in a family with alcohol issues? How was your experience? Like, how do you think it impact you in some way?
Never really thought of it like that until recently, until like when I was in my later 20s, when I really saw it, and when I woke up, because that's just something you're so used to, that every family meeting, hey, let's drink some champagne, then after lunch let's have like a couple of shots, and then let's just get drunk, right? That was such a normal thing that I never regarded as alcoholism. And then once I started to take more time for myself and discover that a bit, I also saw, oh wow, there's something there that was always there, but I never wanted to see that. Same as it was with myself, with my own insecurities and my own demons. I never wanted to see my family in that way, because obviously they are your heroes, right? Like, my dad is my hero. I never wanted to see him in a vulnerable position. And then it just all came like a couple of years ago. I just realized it. And because the thing is also, like, my parents never hit me or something, right? They just had their own issues with not having enough time for our kids. That's what I would say. Or they just prioritize it differently. But yeah, just realized it a couple of years ago. And it's also, they are always very nice to other people. Like, because alcoholics, they're usually good social people. Like, they're good unless, I mean, if they're
so
really...
they are not like drinking home alone?
Not sure. No, when I was younger, my dad used to work all the time, a workaholic as well, right? So, no. Or if yes, I didn't see it. I never saw it really. And always nice to other people, right? Very social, very networking the whole time. So there was a good mood. Usually, I think alcoholism also gets worse the older people get, because the liver's not functioning as well. The brain cells, after those decades of just abusing, the brain starts to get slower. So I think the worst part of alcoholism comes later in life. Like, yeah.
So what's your relationship with alcohol?
Thanks for asking. It's good. Like, I didn't drink until I was 18 and I was in Australia. So after high school, like the work and travel thing. And then I started drinking there because I just hung out with those young traveling people, drank a bit, smoked a bit of weed. And then, 2012, 2013, I was in South Korea and there I worked in a bar also. And I did a lot of partying. And there I drank a lot, like not a lot, but like several times a week, I'd say.
Do you think your relationship with drugs are healthy?
At the moment, yes, because I'm rarely doing anything. Like I don't really drink. I rarely drink. I had a time with weed where I smoked a lot of weed back in like 2014, 15 kind of. Back and forth, and now that's also dropped. Like the last lockdown really helped me also to kind of center myself. And I think what really helped was just starting stand-up, because that's I always felt like I wanted to be creative and have fun and be exploring stuff, and usually I like to smoke weed for that. Until I found stand-up, and then it was like, oh wow, it's all here, we can have fun and explore ideas and be creative. So, and then like the weed thing became much less as well. So
yeah, it's the similar like the heroin experiment, like stuff. Like when you can have the drug, but if your life gets better, you just decrease the drug use.
For sure. So that's nice. What I feel now is like I've struggled with masturbation in the past, for sure. And still now, like I get a feeling several times a day where I just have this thing in my belly where I'm like, oh, it would be nice to have sex now, or just to jerk off,
So what do you mean you have a problem? Like you need to jerk off many times per day?
There were days, where like, especially like 2019 when I wrote my bachelor thesis, there was, even if I know the next day I'm gonna meet a girl and we will get intimate, I would the night before just jerk off 4 or 5 times.
This is normal, right? Like
probably normal.
My boyfriend jerk off every day.
Yeah, okay, then maybe it's normal. For me, it's just like when I do it once, then I just usually can't stop.
Oh, okay.
I do it like a lot. And it just becomes like a mechanic thing, and then I feel really bad like
and
the next day or something.
Why you feel bad? Do you think it's something you need to quit?
Oh, it's something, when I do it, it just gets out of control, and there's like the chemistry behind it. I looked that up. It's just because then you're just chasing the next high. Once I came once, I'm like, I want to get that feeling again and that feeling again. And the thing is, what happens is when you have normal sex, you get, when you have an orgasm or whatever, you have the dopamine, the things that feels nice, but you also get the oxytocin, the things that lowers your stress levels, so that once a dopamine flush after like whatever 30 minutes or whatever, when that dopamine is going down, you have the oxytocin to base your stress level, right? To still feel good, because your body's rubbed against each other. When you just masturbate, you have the dopamine spike and that goes down, but you don't have any oxytocin because nobody touched you, right? So then your dopamine just goes down, and what happens is you feel stressed because suddenly, oh, I felt so good and now I don't have it anymore, right? And then you feel stress, and then what you do, you want to masturbate again, right? That's like the science for masturbation addicts, kind of, or sex addicts. So I don't know, that's how it works, and that's why I know I have to be careful with it, because I just get I have to. It's like almost a daily thing. Like when I'm on a roll, I'm working, I'm going to different places, I'm going to different cities. I don't feel the urge to do that, but especially in vulnerable times, I feel I have to be careful with that.
Yeah. So I think the basic rules of addiction almost applies to all types of addiction. Like it's not the thing itself. It's that powerful. It's that when you are vulnerable, then you need something to depend on something, whatever you find. Yeah.
And that's why it's probably good to work on yourself and to have like a stronger mind and have those things that if you feel vulnerable that you can fall back on to know, hey,
and I think also I have eating disorder. I didn't know it until like past few years. I realized there are so many Chinese girls have eating disorder. We just don't know what it is because the beauty standard is so strict. Like girls needs to be so slim. It's constant battle for almost every girls I know that they constantly want to lose weight. And it's very stressful. So I would go into like binge eating, and puking and eating and feeling horrible about myself. Then decide I will do a fasting without eating anything for a week, and then fear it, and then end up eating a lot of junk food. Then I want to lying in bed crying, feel I'm a piece of shit, I'm a loser. This happens a lot. And until only recent years I start to realize, I have eating disorder. And now it still happens sometimes, but the intensity of it and the duration and also the distraction it can cause is way less, way milder. What I did is a few change. The first thing is that I decide when I was 30 years old last year, I decided I will love my body. I never loved my body because in China, girls are judged very harshly on their look, and the beauty standard is very homogeneous. So there's almost one type of girl. They are only one set of characteristics with beautiful girls, and I'm none of those. Like you need to be slim, you need to be tall, and have really pale skin, really smooth skin, and be quiet. So don't talk. So I don't have any of this. So I grew up. I'm so discriminated. I cried when I was maybe 11 years old because there was a pedophile didn't want to talk with me. He was hitting on other girls all the time. And when I wanted to jump in the conversation, he says, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you are fat. And so it's like constant rejection from the society around me.
That's insane. Do you talk about that on stage?
Not yet. I am trying. And I just feel last year I realized, I've been on this life for 30 years. I never look into myself and feel I love my body. I feel I'm content with my body. And to be honest, I don't even have a bad body. Like I'm not perfect. I'm not like sleep, have like a super. But I'm not ugly.
For sure.
But I blame this body. I hated this body for so many years, and I constantly. As long as I have memory, I constantly want to lose weight. And last year, I look in the mirror. I told myself I'm 30 years old. I tried so many times, for majority of my life. I experienced so far, like I constantly try and fail and blame myself, then why not just accept this is my body and it will not change and I'm just having this body type. I know this is not true. With motivation and willpower, it can be changed, but it's a whole dynamic. It's a whole package. I'm not that person. Can always eat super healthy and I love food and I just want to live happy. And the goal of having that perfect body, the lifestyle associated with it, is just not the way I operate, and I enjoy the life I have now, and I'm healthy, I'm not ugly, I'm not fat. Stop beating myself down. So last year I start to decide I will love my body, I will give up on losing weight, so since that started, I realized I have way less urge to binge eating, because lots of the stress of that I'm going to do fasting, I'm going to lose weight, make me stress and make me want to eat more.
And to kill that stress, you wanted to eat. Yeah.
Because my coping mechanism is eating. So when I want to lose weight, I end up eating more. So like it's been like a bit more than 1 year. I just don't care about my weight at all. Yeah. In fact, I actually lose like 2 kilos.
Wow.
And without want to lose weight. And now when I want to eat the junk food, when I want to eat bad food, I don't care about calorie anymore. I just eat for pleasure, and instead of thinking about how much it will make me gain fat and how high calorie is, I don't think about it anymore. But now instead of that, I think about am I still eating for joy? So as soon as I start to realize now I start to feel I'm eating just for the sake of eating. I don't even feel it's tasty anymore. Sometimes when you eat junk food, it happens very fast. And now I'm just more mindful of that, and I am able to stop in the middle of eating, because I told myself I'm eating for joy. If this thing is not bringing me joy anymore, I stop. Yeah, like I know if I eat something, it's not even tasty, the guilt afterwards, the shame will be even harder. So if I don't enjoy the taste, I don't eat anymore. This helped me a lot, and also like just be kind to myself. And sometime last week, Wednesday and Thursday, I kind of fall into a small breakdown. And on Thursday, I just stayed home, ate all the junk food and I can find, and I just... Normally, I would tell myself I'm a loser, I'm a piece of shit, I cannot get my life together. And now I learned to tell myself, maybe I just want a break. Maybe I just want to relax. And, like mentally healthy people, they also sometimes have a lazy Sunday, just enjoy their laziness.
Cheat days also, yeah. Even The Rock says that if you ain't cheating, you ain't eating. So if you're disciplined, you should reward yourself also,
Yeah, so what I mean is that then I realized, maybe I just treat myself to... I always associate lazy and depressed. And how about I start to break this association? I can be lazy and happy. I just enjoy the process, the laziness, and enjoy that. I'm just watching all these good movies and listen to music and doing whatever I want. I just spoil myself once.
And you deserve it. Like that's the thing, to tell yourself that you deserve certain things, because that's like one of the narratives that really keep us down. I think it's like, no, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. Like that's I'm shit. Like that's the whole thing, right? And that's perfect that you found a way to tell yourself, hey, I'm also deserving of having a break, of having some fun. I'm thinking like
just let myself to relax, Jesus. And because I'm able to think in this way, to kind of like defend myself, all those binge eating episodes, they last way shorter, like maximum like 1 day, 2 days. In the past, when I was like feeling ashamed, like thinking I'm a piece of shit, I would be dragged into such depressive mood, and it will last like weeks, months.
Just you in the cave with sweets and no showers?
I don't eat sweets. I like to eat. I'm not like a sweet eater.
That's so wow.
Yeah,
good for
I
you.
eat good Chinese food. Like
good for you. Savory food. Well, that's luck that you're not into sweets, because that's like that's my guilty pleasure.
I think I'm really lucky in a way that all those really dangerous drugs, I really just don't like them. Like I am not a big fan of sugar. Like I can eat them now. In the past, I cannot eat chocolate because it's too sweet. I don't like it. And I have no issue. I don't like tobacco. I don't like alcohol. Like I really tried that because, like in school, people all smoke and talk, and you want to blend in, you want to be able to socialize. I start to smoke. I just cannot tolerate it. I hate it. And also I don't like cocaine. I am just not like an addictive body. And I think that's really lucky. I think we need to, it's a very nice conversation, but we need to wrap it up. I have lots of things haven't discussed with you. We'll do it in your podcast. So, dear audience, actually, Franco, if you are interested in the rest of the conversation, go to Richard's podcast. I will write it in the description.
Nice.
Yeah. I only have one audience. That's Franco. Franco, I love you.
Franca is a boy or girl? It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Franca, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And send us your comments, like send some feedback if you have something that you found interesting that we talked about. Let's get the community growing.
Yeah, cool. Let's see you guys in Richard's episode for the rest of content.
Nice.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye. Cool.